Chief Humanologist Bora nervously adjusted his ceremonial collar as he waited outside the Grand Strategy Chamber of the Hufarian Imperial Navy. After 3 cycles of requesting this emergency audience, the High Command had finally granted him 15 minutes to present his findings. 15 minutes to save the Empire from what could be its greatest strategic blunder in 10,000 years. The massive obsidian doors slid open with a pneumatic hiss. Bora clutched his data tablet tighter and entered the dimly lit amphitheater. Tiered seating rose in concentric half-circles, filled with the Empire's most decorated naval officers. Their deep red skin contrasted sharply with the polished insignia and campaign medals adorning their formal uniforms. At the center, seated at an elevated platform, was Admiral Neteko himself, his elongated neck held high in the formal posture of judgment. "Approach, humanologist," the Admiral's voice boomed through the chamber. "The High Command has granted you this unprecedented audience. I trust you have something of extraordinary importance to share." Bora stepped forward, his legs trembling slightly. He connected his tablet to the holographic array and cleared his throat. "Most esteemed Admiral Neteko, honored members of the Naval High Command and distinguished representatives of the Emperor's War Council," he began, his voice steadier than he felt. "I come before you today with urgent intelligence regarding the bipedal species from the 3rd planet of the Sol system. Humans." A ripple of dismissive murmurs echoed through the chamber. "We are well aware of these humans," interrupted Sub-Admiral Naftef from the 2nd tier. "Primitive mammals barely 2 centuries into their space age. What possible threat could they pose to the Hufarian Empire?" Bora activated his first holographic display, showing various Earth watercraft, from simple canoes to massive aircraft carriers. "It concerns what humans call boats," he said gravely. The chamber erupted in laughter. Admiral Neteko raised his hand for silence. "Explain yourself, humanologist. Our patience is limited." Bora nodded, cycling to the next display. "These primitive creatures evolved on a planet covered primarily by water. While they cannot survive in water for extended periods, they developed an almost religious devotion to vessels that allow them to traverse it." Images of shipyards, launching ceremonies, and maritime museums floated in the air. From the earliest moments of their civilization, humans have displayed an emotional attachment to these water vehicles that defies all rational analysis. They name them, they celebrate them, they write songs about them. They even refer to them with female pronouns, despite most vessels having no reproductive capabilities whatsoever. A few junior officers snickered. Bora's eyes narrowed. "I assure you, there is nothing humorous about what happens when you damage their boats. The humans' response to boat aggression is wildly disproportionate." The room darkened as Bora projected a massive battleship, its gun turrets aimed menacingly. "This is what humans call a battleship, a nautical war vessel from their pre-space era. These massive constructions displaced up to 70,000 of their tons in water, carried crews of thousands, and were armed with primitive kinetic projectile launchers called guns that could hurl metal objects weighing as much as a Hufarian child over 20 miles. A murmur of grudging respect rippled through the chamber. Primitive but impressive engineering for such a young species. In what humans called the Korean War, one of these battleships, the USS Missouri, detected a single small artillery installation on shore that had fired precisely one projectile, which did not even strike the vessel. Bora swiped to a tactical map showing the engagement. The human response? The battleship unloaded all of its weapons, 9 massive 16-inch guns, 25-inch guns, and numerous smaller weapons, firing hundreds of explosive shells at this single target until nothing remained but a smoking crater. The Admiral's neck stretched toward the Strategic Response Coordinator. "Verify this," he commanded. "Confirmed, Admiral," the officer replied after consulting his database. Historical records indicate an 887-to-1 response ratio, highly inefficient use of munitions by any tactical standard. But that, Bora continued, his voice gaining intensity, is merely a prelude to the true horror of human boat vengeance. The hologram shifted to black and white images of battleships exploding and sinking. In the World War II, a human nation called Japan attacked a naval base called Pearl Harbor, damaging or destroying 21 boats and killing 2,403 humans. A tragedy, certainly, but in the context of warfare, a precisely executed tactical strike. The image changed to an enormous mushroom cloud towering over a devastated landscape. The chamber fell silent. The human response? They created these. Nuclear weapons? City destroyers? Bora's hands trembled visibly as he explained. They harnessed the power of atomic fission, the very force that powers stars, and used it to obliterate 2 entire cities. Even Admiral Netiko's composed expression faltered in shock. These weapons release energy equivalent to millions of tons of their most powerful conventional explosives. The blast vaporizes everything at its center. The heat ignites fires for miles. The radiation poisons the land for generations, Bora continued, and they deployed 2 of these world-enders in response to an attack on their boats. Dead silence gripped the chamber. No one moved, no one spoke. And yet, Bora's voice dropped to near whisper, this pales in comparison to what happened when humans reached the stars. The hologram transformed into an elegant spacecraft with solar sails, and the words, "Good luck, my boy," painted on its hull in multiple Earth languages. This was humanity's first major deep space explorer vessel. On its maiden voyage beyond their home system, it was struck by an asteroid, a completely natural occurrence, no malice, no enemy, just the random chaos of the cosmos. The display changed to show the solar system, with the asteroid belt highlighted between Mars and Jupiter. The humans' response? Bora paused dramatically. They removed their entire asteroid belt. Gasps and cries of disbelief filled the chamber. One officer stood up, his long neck extending in agitation. Impossible! Even our empire couldn't undertake such a massive stellar engineering project. I assure you it is true, Buller responded. Using a combination of gravitational tugs, directed solar sails, and antimatter charges, they systematically disassembled, redirected, or outright vaporized every significant object in their system's asteroid belt over a 50-year campaign they called Operation Clear Skies. The hologram showed before and after images of the solar system. The thick band of asteroids completely gone in the latter. Millions of asteroids, many with masses exceeding that of our capital ships, simply gone. All because one of their boats was damaged by one rock. Admiral Netiko leaned forward, his chair creaking ominously. If what you say is true, humanologist, why bring this to our attention now? Bora stepped closer to the Admiral's platform, dropping all formal pretense in his urgency. Because, honored leaders, I must emphasize the most crucial point. To humans, spaceships are also boats. Panic erupted in the council chamber. Officers shouted and murmured, some rising from their seats. Admiral Netiko slammed his fist on the table for order. Explain! They call them space boats, star boats, void boats, and most commonly spaceships. Their naval traditions have been directly transferred to their space forces. Their admirals wear the same insignia. They christen their vessels with fermented plant juice. Their space commanders literally say, "Steady as she goes," and "Aye, aye, Captain." Bora projected classified intelligence images of the human space fleet currently mobilizing at the edge of their system. So when I tell you that the human exploration fleet is scheduled to enter the disputed Proxima region next cycle, he continued, voice rising to a near shout, and when I remind you that your strategic plan involves disabling one of their scout vessels as a warning, he slammed his hand on the holographic console. I implore you to reconcile it. Admiral Netiko rose slowly from his seat, his full 9-foot height imposing in the suddenly silent chamber. Are you suggesting, humanologists, that we abandon our territorial claim to the entire Proxima sector because these mammals are irrationally attached to their transportation devices? Bora's eyes locked with the Admiral's, a breach of protocol that could cost him his career. Or worse, I am suggesting, Admiral, that if you touch their boats, his voice dropped to a whisper that somehow carried to every corner of the room, they will end us. For 30 long seconds, no one moved. Then Admiral Netiko slowly settled back into his seat, fingers steepled thoughtfully. War Minister, he said quietly, how quickly can we withdraw our forward deployments from the Proxima boundary? Admiral, protested the War Minister, the Emperor has personally approved. How quickly? Neteko's voice cut like a particle beam. 3 days at maximum thrust, sir. The Admiral nodded once. Make it 2. And draft a peace proposal. I want buffer zones established around all human vessels. No Hofarian ship is to approach within weapons range of any human boat. He turned his attention back to Bora. You have saved countless lives today, humanologist. The Emperor will hear of your service. As the chamber emptied, Bora gathered his data and prepared to leave. Admiral Neteko gestured him closer with one battle-scarred hand. Tell me, Human August, he asked quietly, do you truly believe they would destroy us all over a single ship? Bora's shoulders slumped slightly. Admiral, they dismantled billions of tons of celestial bodies because a rock hit their boat by accident. What do you think they would do if we did it on purpose? Admiral Netiko stared into the distance, at the hologram still showing the now empty space where the asteroid belt had once been. Get me the Emperor, he said softly. Admiral Netiko stood rigidly before the massive holographic projection of Emperor Malak. The Emperor's elongated crimson neck stretched to its full height, his golden crown glinting in the light of 3 artificial suns. Even as a projection, his presence dominated the war room. You wish to abort Operation Void Whisper? The Emperor's voice was dangerously calm. The operation my military council spent 2 years planning? The operation that has already deployed our most elite stealth cruisers? Netiko swallowed hard. Yes, Your Eminence. New intelligence suggests the human response would be catastrophic. Explain. The single word dropped like a stone. Bora stepped forward at the Admiral's gesture, data tablet clutched to his chest. Your Imperial Majesty, I am Chief Humanologist Bora. My research into human psychology reveals a dangerous trigger point we were unaware of. Their irrational attachment to vessels they call boats, which includes their spaceships. The Emperor's eyes narrowed. You interrupt my meditation over transportation preferences. Your Eminence, Bora continued, his voice steadier than he expected. Humans do not respond proportionally to attacks on their vessels. When a single artillery piece fired at one of their battleships, they responded with nearly 1,000 shells. When a tactical strike disabled 21 naval vessels, they detonated nuclear weapons on civilian populations. And when a random asteroid struck their first deep space explorer, they— Yes, I read your report, the Emperor interrupted. They dismantled their asteroid belt. Impressive, if true. It is true, Your Eminence, Neteko confirmed. We verified it with our own stellar surveys. And now our operation targets 3 of their space carriers simultaneously. The Emperor's expression darkened. I see. And the strike teams? Gone silent, as protocol demands. War Minister Dronak said, his voice tight. They deactivated all communication systems 8 hours ago upon entering the Sol system's edge. Can we reach them through quantum channels? The Emperor demanded. We can try, Dronax replied, but it would reveal their position to human detection systems. The Emperor's fist slammed down, causing his holographic image to flicker. Do it! I will not risk interstellar war over primitive vessels. At once, Your Eminence. Admiral Netiko bowed deeply. Communications Officer Lathar's fingers flew across the console, broadcasting emergency recall on quantum channels. Message: by Imperial Order, Operation Void Whisper is terminated. Withdraw immediately. Acknowledge. Seconds stretched into minutes. The war room remained silent except for the soft beeping of the communication console. "Any response?" Neteko asked, his long neck tense. "Nothing yet, Admiral." The Emperor's hologram loomed closer. "How much time until the operation executes?" War Minister Dronax consulted his tactical display. "Approximately 17 Earth minutes, Your Eminence." "Keep broadcasting," the Emperor ordered, "and prepare a diplomatic message to their space command. We will claim rogue elements if necessary." Suddenly, a distant alarm sounded. Communications Officer Lathar's console erupted with flashing alerts. "Admiral," he cried, "we have an emergency transmission from Strike Team Alpha." "Put it through," Neteko demanded. The static-filled voice of Commander Pax cut through the room. "Premature detection. Repeat, we have been detected. Human carrier USS Constellation has activated defense grid. We are—" The transmission dissolved into garbled noise. "What happened?" the Emperor demanded. "Unknown, Your Eminence," Lathar replied, frantically working his controls, attempting to re-establish contact. A new alert sounded. Intelligence Officer Merrick rushed into the war room, his deep red face pale with exertion. "Admiral, our long-range sensors are detecting massive energy surges from the human fleet. Their entire Jupiter Defense Force is mobilizing." War Minister Dronax demanded, "Our phase shift technology is undetectable by their systems." "It appears," Merrick said, checking his data pad, "that our strike team was spotted when they passed through the debris field of an old human scientific satellite. And this triggered detection?" The Emperor's voice was incredulous. "The debris contained old-style radioactive thermal generators," Merrick explained. "When our ships passed through, the radiation patterns changed. A human monitoring station on Europa noticed the discrepancy." "So they know we're coming?" Admiral Neteko said grimly. "Worse," Merrick replied. "When our operatives realized they were detected, they attempted to neutralize the Europa station. They succeeded, but not before the station transmitted an emergency signal." Admiral Neteko closed his eyes briefly. "They attacked another human installation." Merrick nodded grimly. "Station. They vaporized the Europa monitoring post, Your Eminence. There were 16 human scientists aboard." The Emperor's hologram flickered as he slumped slightly in his throne. "By the eternal void!" A massive alarm suddenly blared throughout the command center. The main view screen activated automatically, showing a tactical display of the Sol system. "Multiple launches detected from Mars orbital platform," Defense Coordinator Nitsch shouted over the alarms. "Fusion drives igniting. Quantum signatures confirmed." "They're launching their dreadnought fleet?" War Minister Dronax gasped. "But they can't possibly know our homeworld coordinates." "They don't need to," Bora whispered, his face ashen. "They're going to eliminate another threat to their boats." The room fell silent as understanding dawned. "Our fleet," Admiral Neteko said quietly. "Our entire observation network in their system." The tactical display showed dozens of red warning indicators as Earth's defensive platforms activated simultaneously. Throughout the solar system, the previously hidden Hofarian observation vessels began emergency maneuvers. 37 ships, Dronax said, his voice hollow. "Our most advanced stealth vessels. And the humans are targeting all of them," Nit confirmed, staring at his readings in disbelief. "They're using their quantum resonance grid to track our phase-shifted hulls." The Emperor stood to his full height, his crimson skin darkening with rage and fear. "Order all vessels in the Sol system to withdraw immediately. Maximum speed. Abandon all equipment if necessary." "They won't make it, Your Eminence," Admiral Neteko said quietly. "The human vessels will intercept ours in minutes. Their fusion drives are unexpectedly advanced." "Then what do you suggest?" the Emperor hissed. Admiral Neteko turned to Bora. "Humanologist, what would the humans consider appropriate restitution for attacking their vessels?" Bora blinked rapidly, thinking. They value direct communication and displays of genuine remorse. But, most importantly, they understand the concept of accountability, holding leadership responsible for strategic errors. The Emperor's eyes narrowed. You suggest we offer up our own command structure? I suggest, Bora said carefully, that the commanders who ordered the attack on the Europa station be held accountable, and perhaps the architect of Operation Void Whisper itself. War Minister Dronax stiffened. That operation was approved at the highest levels. Indeed it was, the Emperor said softly. By me. The room fell silent. Open a direct channel to Earth's Unified Space Command, the Emperor ordered. Visual and audio. Your Eminence, Neteko protested. Such direct contact is unprecedented. So is the annihilation of our stealth fleet, the Emperor replied sharply. Do it now. Communications Officer Lathar worked feverishly. Channel open, Your Eminence, broadcasting on all human military frequencies. The main view screen shifted to show a gray-haired human female in a space uniform adorned with gold insignia, her face stern with barely controlled fury. This is Admiral Prinz of Earth Unified Space Command, he said. Identify yourself. The Emperor drew himself up. I am Emperor Malak of the Hoforian Empire. I wish to discuss the immediate cessation of hostilities. Admiral Prinz's eyes narrowed. You have attacked Earth space assets and murdered our scientists. Your stealth fleet has been operating in our system without authorization. Give me one reason why I shouldn't turn your ships into space debris. Because, the Emperor said, I am prepared to offer appropriate restitution according to your customs. The human admiral's expression didn't change. I'm listening. The attack on your Europa station was unauthorized, the Emperor continued. The commanders responsible have exceeded their authority and will be removed and surrendered to your justice system. And the operation itself? Admiral Prinz demanded. The Emperor hesitated for only a moment. The planning of Operation Void Whisper was my responsibility. I offer my personal apology and am prepared to abdicate my throne as a demonstration of our sincere regret. Gasps echoed through the war room. The Emperor's offer was unprecedented in 10,000 years of imperial rule. On screen, Admiral Prinz studied the Emperor for a long moment. Stand down your missiles, he said to someone off-screen. Then back to the Emperor. We will require full disclosure of all your intelligence operations in our system, the surrender of all phase shift technology used against us, and formal reparations for the families of the Europa Station personnel. Agreed, the Emperor said immediately. And, Admiral Prinz added, his voice hard, we will keep our dreadnoughts on high alert until these terms are fulfilled. One false move, and we finish this. Is that understood? It is, the Emperor replied. The human admiral nodded once. We will send coordinates for a diplomatic vessel to dock with our Mars command station. Your representatives will come unarmed. They will arrive within the day, the Emperor promised. As the transmission ended, the war room remained silent. Defense Coordinator Nit finally spoke. The human dreadnoughts are holding position, Your Eminence, but they haven't powered down weapons. The Emperor's hologram turned to Admiral Neteko. It seems your humanologist was correct. Yes, Your Eminence, Neteko said quietly. Tell me, humanologist Bora, the Emperor said, what else should we know about these humans? Bora stepped forward nervously. They have a saying on their world, Your Eminence. Don't touch our ships unless you're prepared for the consequences. I don't recall that being in your report, the Emperor said dryly. I just made it up, Your Eminence, Bora admitted. But based on today's events, I believe it should become the first principle of our diplomatic protocols. Indeed, the Emperor said. And perhaps we should also remember that a species willing to remove an entire asteroid belt over a single ship is not one we should provoke. He turned to face his war council. Begin preparations for the diplomatic mission, and someone find out if humans accept imperial abductions as a valid form of diplomatic resignation. For the first time in the crisis, nervous laughter broke the tension in the war room. Thank you for listening to this story. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave this video a like and subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this. Video shares, memberships, and super thanks help the channel grow as well, so feel free to partner with this channel in that way as we grow. With that all said, thank you again for listening to the story, and thank you for your time. On the left side of your screen are some videos I think you might be interested in. I hope to see you in the next one.